Ukraine's ombudsperson said today that Russian troops are confiscating passports from Ukrainian citizens, then moving them to so-called filtration camps in Ukraine's separatist-controlled east before sending them to various distant, economically depressed areas in Russia. She claims more than 400,000 people, including 84,000 children, have been moved against their will. Russia has denied the allegations. For more, I want to bring in retired Major General David Fraser. He is CTV's military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. General, what do you make of what we're hearing, first of all, regarding these supposed forced hostage takings?
Well, Jennifer, I mean, I thought this was the thing that of the past that we heard in and read about in history, but these are deportations. This is something right out of a Russian horror show, that we are deporting people under duress to depressed areas. It's yet another a war crime by my estimation. It's just despicable.
We heard President Zelensky yesterday once again ask NATO to provide more, just 1% of their armaments in terms of, tanks and weaponry. Has NATO done enough? What more can it do? And when will the sanctions start to really take effect?
Well, I think President Zelensky will continue to ask for everything, but at the same token, the West has ensured that he is where he is today. And where in the past month, President Zelensky has been able to thwart, slow down, and stop the Russian invasion, to the point where now the Ukrainians are on the offensive and taking territory back in Kyiv. And yesterday, the remarkable attack in the Russian rear by destroying that ship. The West is doing what they can without making this into a bigger war, and that's just a political decision. But at the same time, the president of the United States has drawn a line in the sand to Russia that if they ever use chemical or biological weapons, they will be attacked by the West.
Yeah.
So that is actually a demonstrable better news story for President Zelensky.
Yes, you're correct. We heard President Biden make that statement, saying that any kind of chemical or biological weaponry they will respond appropriately, I think was the word that he used. He didn't say exactly what would be done, but it would be commensurate with what is used against the Ukrainians. That being said, General, what is the likelihood in your estimation now, with Russia appearing to be on its back foot, that Putin will resort to using those weapons?
And I think that's the danger and the political calculus that Biden and the other leaders are trying to manage. That the Russians are suffering catastrophic losses here, and they're having to import more foreign fighters, getting more equipment from all parts of Russia. The question is, at what point does it become so dire that Putin is forced to use those despicable weapon systems that we just talked about? And nobody wants that. So I think this is the political dance that is going on right now. How do you get Putin to acknowledge that he can no longer win this conflict, get him to the table to start negotiating with Zelensky in a meaningful way? And there are some reports that, in fact, Turkey might play a role in this, and there are some talks going on in the background. But we like to end this with a political solution, and not with an attack by the United States against a chemical or biological attack from Russia. This is not where we want to go.